So yeah, okay, so I'm a TimeWaver therapist, I'm a hypnotherapist, I'm a yoga teacher, and I'm currently studying nutrition. So what my aim is to bring all of these things together to help people get to where they need to be quicker, because people really don't have time to do this very long, drawn out. Well, they do have time, but they don't really want to engage in it in that way. So I think things like the breath work, Alessandra, as you know, I do in the group session, I combine it with clearing codes, combine it with frequency. So I'd like to sort of bring my own creative flair on some of these modalities and help people get to where they need to be quicker. And, I also make like personalized Healy programs. So often in a consultation with somebody, we've got access to thousands of more frequencies than are on the Healy. I might feel that they need something a bit different. So I might put together a different type of program for them. I'm also a TimeWaver therapist. And how many of you have actually heard of TimeWaver? Just so I have an idea of where you are. You have, like, have you engaged with anything TimeWaver? Do you know it at all? I just want to know what sort of level to come in at with the explaining of it. I think I'll just start from the basics of it. Yeah. So TimeWaver is like it's almost like a giant Healy. It has a capacity of the pink app and the blue app. It works mainly on the vibrational level. It's not for grossly manifested things. So it's not really working on the energy level. When I talk about levels, I'm going to share my screen, and I'm just going to put up, show you, this is on my website. So this is actually from the TimeWaver brochure. So I'm sure you've seen this before, right? This is the 12 dimensions of Burkhardt Heim, and matter and time exist in these 4 dimensions, which we call the visible world. They're D1 to D4. And then we have this, the D5, D6, D7, D8 dimensions, which are known as, they're both sort of known as the information field. Healy has a quantum sensor in it, and the TimeWaver has a quantum sensor as well as a light quantum resonator. So what the light quantum resonator can do is it can access higher levels here. Okay, so with the quantum light sensor, we're generally working in this and in the consciousness field, which often is not possible on the Healy. And what we're doing is we're working with information when it comes to TimeWaver. So when I say information, what does that actually mean? When we do a treatment on someone, we have this. We have information coming in, and then this is a COSI-REV mirror, and then it'll either go to produce zeros or ones, right? Depending on the intention held, zeros and ones, and then it will produce this number series of zeros and ones. And that's what it kind of gets broadcasted based on the intention. That's why it's so important to hold a very strong intention at the beginning. Yeah. So it transmits like about 4 million photons per second. And then, there's obviously the observer effect. So when we're working with something, when we're recognizing something, it collapses, it becomes recognized, and it can dissolve quicker. We also have, so just as a comparison, we have an object which has a vibrational pattern, or a thought, or something that has a pattern. And then we compare it to what's in the databases of TimeWaver. So what's here in the pink, we compare it. And then it's the therapist's role to provide this interpretation. Okay, so this is how we, as therapists, work. We look at blocks that are in the field, and we look at how we're going to help clear them. So, for example, somebody might have a feeling of deep guilt inside them. So what we're going to be broadcasting with TimeWaver is looking for reasons why that person is feeling like that. And then also, what are the remedies that we can broadcast to then re-imprint the field of that person? That's what it is, re-imprinting the information field. So it's not, we're not working on the energy level. We're not working on the physical level. We're working on a level above those, this information field level, which then slowly manifests into the other levels. Okay. So that's just a quick background of TimeWaver. I'm not sure how much of that you already know. And obviously your consciousness plays a very, very strong role in how you hold that space when doing a TimeWaver session or even doing a Healy session. Now, in terms of comparison, Healy probably has 1% of the information that there is on TimeWaver. So it's a very broad scope. TimeWaver is made for a more therapeutic level as a therapist. Healy is mainly made for individuals or smaller, for when you are quite close to the TimeWaver. Sorry, when you're quite close to the Healy. Yeah. So I'm going to show you now the interface. Just check the chat. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to show you the TimeWaver. Now I've put in a client, I've just made her up, Sarah Jane. And what we can do, in fact, maybe we do this with someone. So we can do a few analysis if you like, just to show you, because the scope of this is so huge. Before we do that, I'm just going to show you a little bit about the system. So here we have, like, if I want to do an analysis on Sarah Jane, who does not exist, here are the system databases. Okay, so we can work on a spiritual level, a karmic level, a psychological, information, energy, frequency, physiological, and as you can read, the rest. Yeah. Now, these are just the system databases. We also have the option of making our own databases with TimeWaver. So, for example, I have created, I'll find it now. So I've created a sort of COVID or a viral detox thing myself. And the way I did it was I actually recorded all of these remedies onto the TimeWaver. So right the way from your ivermectin to your to just various remedies I've heard of or researched. I recorded them all. I took the vibrational print. I put the picture. I put the information, because you need the background information and what it does. And I can now use that database on people, right? So it's not only a case of, the reason I'm showing you that is it's not only a case of the databases that are in there, we can also create our own. Are there any questions to now? No, okay. Oh, what happened there? Oh, I don't know what's happened there. Okay. So yeah, those would be under the user databases. Now, what I think would be really good to do is let's do like a little bit of an analysis with somebody. Does anybody want to do it? Or volunteer? We don't have to do a very deep one. I won't go into very deep issues, but I'll, if you want, I can just.
I don't mind. Oh.
Okay. So Alessandra is okay to do it, Cleo. So yeah, it doesn't necessarily, I won't do it just with one person the whole way through. I'll just do different things that I show on different people. I think that would be a nice way to do it. So Cleo, let's start with you. So I just need some information so we can add a new client. It's obviously doing some reset. Hold on.
Can I just ask a question, actually? When you were putting all those things on for the COVID resolve, well, you didn't buy them all, did you? All the different things? You just... Oh, you did, and then that's how
I had them all. Yeah, I didn't necessarily. They weren't all mine necessarily, but yeah, you have to like have a very clean space and like sort of put the drop on the actual machine.
No,
so that's how I did it. Yeah, it was quite time consuming. Took me like over a day to do that one. Just that. Yeah. Yeah. So Cleo, your date of birth?
7th of the 12th. 1974.
Place?
Of birth? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Slough, SLOUGH, UK.
Oh my gosh.
It's always typical.
Never happened before.
Blowing the system. 7.
Let's try it one more time. It seems to be happening on this adding a new client screen. 7th of
12th.
Yeah.
1974. Slough, UK. Mrs. Cleo, CLEO. RODD.
Okay. I think that'll be enough for now. So we'll go to Aura. And if you just take a deep breath in and connect, relax your shoulders, take a deep breath in and out. Okay. So what it shows, Chloe, is, and this I would never use as a, I generally do this at the beginning of a session, but I don't use it because I think it's too quick. Okay, so I would do this first and then I would wait and then do it again towards the end of the session. But what it shows me in a snapshot is that the sacral chakra is slightly down. So it could mean it's slightly down, or you're overusing it, or you're thinking it, or there's some deep-rooted fears, or anything to do with the sacral chakra. And then we can go and analyze it. Wow. It's interesting. Number 1 has come up as a totem animal, a blackbird. So it says, if the blackbird flies into your life, it reminds you of becoming and passing away, and the cycles in your own life as well as in nature. So the way I would interpret that is more like keep the bigger picture in mind. And then it is important to consciously reconnect to nature, thus to one's own being, and take good care to have space for oneself as well as others. How does that I'll go over a couple more actually. So this is a nice one. I am happy and satisfied with my children. There is the sacral chakra. This is just, remember, this is just why the sacral chakra is being affected. And when it says I'm happy and satisfied with my children, it's actually, it's a frequency for that. That doesn't mean you're necessarily unhappy now. It just means that you want to get more to that place. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So the polarity of balancing of a polarity between feeling imprisoned and being free comes up. This belief, like this is really deep in you. You know, I'm born to experience joy in my life. like you want that. So, it talks about new direction. How do any of these resonate with you, Chloe? Cleo, sorry.
It's all right. So those statements, does it mean, that's where you want to get to?
Yeah.
Okay. And how much you feel resonate with that or not?
Yeah. So
where you're there or not?
Yeah. So this pattern here, this box here, is a frequency pattern. This is an information pattern. So this is a vibration. So if we're just looking at number 8, for example, this is the pattern to say I'm willing to take the necessary risks to change. Yeah. Now, not all of them you're going to go, oh wow, yeah, that's definitely me, because some of them are very deep subconscious. That doesn't mean they're not in your field.
Yeah.
Okay. And yes, the answer to your question simply is yes. It is what where we want you to be, or where the field is suggesting you need an imprint written over of what's in your field right now. It needs to be sort of rubbed off and re-imprinted with this.
Right. Yeah. Go. Can you go up a bit? I can't really. Yeah, like I try and connect to nature quite a lot, but I'm probably not doing that as much. And I feel quite imprisoned sometimes and stuck, because I'm quite not flighty, just free.
Yeah.
And also what's happened on a collective has been
yeah. But also what's interesting with it is it's a balance of the polarities. So you live both polarities. Actually, you feel free a lot of the time. But it probably is quite extreme. Then you go feel free, and then you just feel the frustration, the feeling, and then feeling quite free. It's more how to balance these two.
Right. Okay.
So what I would do on a day would be I would talk to people about these things. I don't necessarily need to vibrate all of them, because this is sort of information that's come up. Okay, and each one of these now, if I was to vibrate this would go into the person's information field, and then because I've spoken to them about it, they would have like that in their field, their off consciousness, and then over the time we can send out pulses like, see here, like every 2 hours, every 1 hour, every 5 minutes, every 37 seconds, and it's done automatically on the TimeWaver. So say I send this out every 2 hours for 37 seconds, it will literally add to an optimization list here. Right? I've put it on privacy screen because other people's are on here. And it literally rotates. So it goes from one person to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. And that's how we keep a lot of clients running on the TimeWaver all the time. So your frequency will be vibrated now every 2 hours. Yeah. And that will carry on day, night. I keep the machine on. I just turn it off every so often for a little bit of a rest, for maybe like half a day or something. But generally it's on all the time, because I've got all this analysis happening all the time. Okay.
I have a quick question, Jazz.
Yeah, sure.
On this page here.
Oh, okay. On the vibration optimization.
That one there. No, sorry. Go back to where we can see the chart, where we can see the.
Yeah.
There, here. So it says -27 on the forehead chakra, and the other ones are pluses. And then at the bottom, it shows you like the chakra energy. I'm just wondering, like, because obviously on a Healy, we don't see the minuses. What's the difference between the minuses and the pluses? And does that mean that it's underactive and overactive? But we probably don't get that information on the Healy, do we? That it's under or over?
No.
But what I have noticed is when you go look at the interpretation, sometimes the the highest ones are coming up, because usually we get the lowest ones on the interpretation to kind of look at.
Which means
Sometimes it shows the highest, and I'm wondering if it's because it's underactive or overactive. And I'm just curious about that actually. What's the difference?
Well, if you're using a chakra too much, so you're using it too much, that will imbalance the rest. Underactive is literally like when you go into more chronic states, when you go into sort of long term, this chakra has been affected. But if you see what they ask us to do is really, if you see this, like for example, 31% on the sacral, and the root chakra was minus 28. So we've got a negative and a positive, right? We've got a negative 28 and a positive 31 for the root and the sacral. But actually, what we've got in the chakra energy, which is I think what you see on the healing overall energy, it's only at 72% and it's only at 69%. I'll say only, it's quite big. It's at 72 and 69. So it doesn't really matter whether it's over or under. It needs to be more balanced as a snapshot. Do you see what I mean?
So the middle is 100 actually.
The middle is where it should be. The
middle line is 100.
Yeah, so at the moment, actually, the crown chakra of Cleo's is the best. Because there's not much deviation from the middle. That's balanced. So we want to just see how much out of balance it is, how much over or under. And this chart at the bottom shows us that.
Very interesting to see that actually.
You can also see it as just like sort of dots. So here, I can see a sort of representation of this chakra, the what's the blue one?
Throat chakra.
Yeah, as being very high, which is good. It's just a different representation.
Yeah, really interesting to see the negative ones, the lower ones.
And what's really nice to see when working with somebody long term is to see how the progression is happening. So if they come for a session every few months or 2 months, say for example, then they'll see like actually this chakra was here and then it's fallen down or it's gone up. It was, and we can then start talking about what happened in life and what happened to chakras according to that. Okay, so the same thing, energy progression over time. Can't really show that much with that on this right now. Okay. The other thing I can do is show you an analysis, right? So, Cleo, if you want to, do you have like a focus statement? It could be absolutely anything.
No. Try to have a focus statement. That would be.
And Alessandra, maybe if you want to think of one as well, I can do some on yourself next. Bernie, you didn't say that you wanted any, right? Am I right?
She said she had some things to do, so she may just be kind of popping in and out. I'm not sure if she's 100%.
All right. So Alessandra, if you have one, then I can come back to you, Cleo. Sorry, I should have actually said it at the beginning. It could be anything like I am in optimal health, or I am emotionally balanced, or I am happy. It could be something very simple.
I am focused on my goals. Something like that.
Okay.
That's interesting. Did you just search for focus? And then
I did a search for the word focus. I did a search for the word focus just to see everywhere it comes up in the TimeWaver. It comes up 230 times. But that doesn't necessarily mean that's how I would do this. I'm kind of now tuning into how am I going to like help with why the focus is off, it could not be there, for example, right? So obviously I'll have a little bit of more of a background in a real session about what's happening in your life and stuff like that. So every therapist now works in a very different way. I always like going into the karmic level because, you know, I just think that is a big undercurrent running in everyone's life. So I always like looking at what's going on in the karmic level. Some people don't. So this is the thing with TimeWaver as well. To be fair, you will get different readings from every therapist, kind of depending on how deep they want to go or how they work, you know, and how you can feel a person and how you tune into somebody. Like, you know, sometimes I work very strongly in just the emotional level. So, for example, I'm just going to like tune into what I would do with this one. See, so I'm now looking for some remedies. For example, on the information level, I'm looking, what can I put in the field? Like there are 48 Alaskan gems, there are 28 animal essences, blah, 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 and all of these. So I'm going to look at what would support this. Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, so just take a deep breath, Cleo, please. And just stay focused, because this is the point where, you know, we showed that mirror where the information will go and make a comparison. So this part that I've just done is up to the sort of therapist to decide and to work with somebody to tune in. That's why that triangle is really important between the TimeWaver and the therapist holding the space and the client. So yeah, just close your eyes for a moment. And just tune into the intention. Okay. Okay. Are you okay for me to read some of these out, Chloe? Cleo, sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. Yes. Yeah.
Sorry about that. So there's a need for a balance of the polarity of feeling loved and then feeling unloved. You know, often because there's so many lists that we can work with in TimeWaver, I don't necessarily spend so long with somebody, otherwise we could just be here all day. People just often acknowledge it and say, yeah, I've got a bit of that in me, and then we just move on, because the frequencies are going to be, the vibrations are going to be helping along the way, and it's come to someone's consciousness. A fear of being broke. Although I don't deserve to not be afraid of being broke, I love and accept myself the way I am. Harmonic partnership, connected to exploring the world. So together with my partner, I harmonize and transform the topic of exploring the world. It might mean you want more of that.
Yes.
So this one, brain frequencies, useful for weird effects. I've never seen this one before. I'm not at home in my body. So a feeling of not necessarily feeling too grounded in yourself. Emerald pomander. So this is a nice sort of remedy for your field. It calms the centers, balances, brings feelings of space and room, supports your decision process, brings new orientation. Karmic burdens as sclerosis. Now, this one, I don't know if you've ever had sclerosis or anyone in your family has had it. This one is not often recognizable by the individual. It might be, but it sometimes is not, because it could be anywhere in the family line.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. And then there's a bark flower remedy, beech, and that is, you can read it. The burdens of intolerance, prejudice, self-righteousness, and the lack of understanding for the mistakes of others is balanced. Okay, so it will help with understanding, tolerance, openness, and empathy to strengthen these. Brain frequency is 698 hertz to give the information of having a strong feeling of love. So I won't go through all of them. Now, there are some on the subconscious level as well. The ones in the red are probably a little bit more conscious depending on their intensity. The ones in the blue are slightly, they're more in the subconscious, feeling guilty for letting others starve. I don't know what lifetime that was in. Mistrusting your own feelings. Fear and panic. So, like I said, you might not be aware of all of those. Now, what I do have the option to do is pull all the things out of the subconscious, and so I can do it via this icon called matching. Pull everything out of the subconscious and bring it into this golden ratio almost. It's a 63, around a 63%. So now you can see everything is in the red. And what you will see is this one, exploring the world with the partner, is the one that needed most changes. Okay, it needed to really come out. Right. And it's taken almost like 122 treatments.
Wow. I get a holiday booked.
It can literally do that in just one. And remember I told you about the repetition is every 2 hours for X number of seconds. So the next time the 2 hours comes round, we will do another one, another sort of scan it on every single level, take it all out from the subconscious, bring it up. What does the person need? So every couple of hours, you're getting this impulse of information, and then very, very slowly and subtly. This is the thing about TimeWaver. It's a very slow and subtle thing. And often, to be fair, a month isn't enough. So, you know, we need to look at how to balance out, basically, people being able to come to it more often. And I'm trying to work on that now, and having the experience of it. That's why I run the group sessions every month, because I know a lot of people can't sort of do a one-to-one session, but it's a really nice way to be on the TimeWaver, you know. So every couple of hours. So I showed you the matching. And then I could, run the matching every hour or not. I won't do that right now because I think it's not necessary. And yeah, so how did you feel with that, Cleo? Was there resonance?
Yes, there was. I'm still like understanding it, so my brain's working more.
Just doing that weird thing.
Yeah, whatever that is.
Yeah. I mean, thank you for volunteering. I mean, it's not the easiest position to be in when you're like, oh, I have this feeling and that feeling. This is deep rooted, and then I'm asking you, is that right? And you're like,
yeah, I can't see the screen very well. It's quite small for my eyes, so I was trying to like read it.
Yeah.
But no, it's very interesting. I need to book a holiday. Yeah. Travel the world.
Yeah.
That's good. When you were choosing, are you choosing what to select just from your intention and knowledge?
Yeah. I can also ask TimeWaver to auto select.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a bit, it does require more work, especially when you're in a group, because now we've got more people holding the field on this session. You know what I mean? So often I work with somebody to say, where do you think your problems are or lie, or, I get a bit more of a background, basically, even when people sign up or when they book a session, there's a lot more information. I even go down to the birth level, what happened. So then I'll have a bit more of an idea. Because I think, the practicalities is also important, like what's actually happening in this person's life, as well as, where are they emotionally, where are they mentally, where are they physically, and then also bringing in that intuition. And I often ask TimeWaver, like I created that list. So if we were to run this on that focus list, so say we want to know the top 3 reasons about the goals from those 230. So it'll give like remedies or whatever. So we have got, we didn't really tune in properly on this one, but just as an example, it's given this Herkimer diamond, highly developed transmitter of white light, promotes clarity of vision, stimulates healing at all levels, facilitates clarity during the dream state, helps us fine tune and focus on activities of the 6th chakra. So this is something it's saying that your field could do with. The other ones, I mean, they are in blue. I wouldn't really vibrate those, but I would vibrate this. As we do more TimeWaver, we kind of really are able to cherry pick what we would and wouldn't do. Run, sorry, on a client, because there's just so many vibrations that we could run, and then we need to talk about them. And
yeah. That's great. Thank you.
So, all right, Alessandra, shall we do a little bit with you?
Yeah, I'd love that, if that's okay.
Yeah, thanks, Cleo. Hope that was all right with you. Because there's a bit, we just jumped in. We didn't really talk about what's going to come up or anything like that, but hopefully you're all right with that. Okay, what's your date of birth, Alessandra?
So I'm 2nd of the 12th, 78.
And where?
Cookfield in Sussex. Mrs. Alessandra. Do you want me to spell it, or are you okay? Yeah, Alessandra. Surname's Panay, Panayai.
Okay, so just close your eyes for a moment, please. Okay, so I've created a wave pattern in the consciousness field and the energy field, and I can also add a picture. So there is a print of Alessandra, and You know, there's some things that I do very quickly now in sessions. You know, I would just very quickly have a look, sort of what is happening with the chakras. So here, you know, maybe the heart is slightly lower, crown, neck is good. But again, I wouldn't do anything much with this yet. So what we can do is I can show you like an organ scan.
Mm.
Okay. Right, so if you just close your eyes, Alessandra, and just tune into your organ scan. Oops. Okay. Let me do this again. I'm just going to whiz through it. There's a reason why I'm doing this, because a lot of the time when you do a scan again, the information can get cleared. So there's some things which are sort of superficial, and as a therapist, you kind of pick up what is superficial, what is not. So if you see on the first scan, we had teeth, cells, the bladder. Here we've just got teeth left, and it's minus 34. Not huge. It's not the first thing I would look at. The trachea is at 43%. It was at 61%, over-regulated, and then it was at 51%, and now it's at 43%. So that is something I would definitely look at.
Mm-hmm.
What is happening in the trachea? Why? You know, what's the cause? So if you see here, the symbolic meaning is the ability to occupy the living space and territory within the framework of your partner, family, and work environment. It's kind of like balancing everything out, where you live with everything else that's going on. The trachea is part of the bronchi, territorial fear and terror, the feeling of I can't breathe. That doesn't necessarily mean you have those problems or issues, or you're not in resonance with where you're living, your framework of your partnership or your family or anything. But it does mean that the information field around that trachea is affected, and it could be a reason. It doesn't necessarily mean there's anything wrong with your physical trachea, but what we want to do is now look at how can we make that information better, so that when things always start off as obviously consciousness, then information, and then it comes down to energy level, so that we can clear it. Especially so some clients, I find that they're actually quite okay. Like they'll have a few things come up here and there, like who doesn't? But generally they can balance themselves out. But then there's some people who have something like quite consistently. And that's where I would actually look at this, not just go, oh, look, you did one scan and it's like this. So, right. So, you know, if I can go, as an example, I can go deeper into this. And do you have any allergies, Cassandra?
Yeah, I've got asthma based from hay fever, and that's something, the not being able to breathe, the anxiety, that's something that resonates with me.
Yeah.
And it's something that I do experience. Animal fur, pollen.
Okay, so I mean, allergies as a whole comes up, you know.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
allergies.
Gluten, dairy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, so you know, not just on one level, quite a few, you know, viruses comes up. But this is where, you know, I wouldn't say, oh, you have this virus, coronavirus, whatever it is. I would actually go in and say, all right, what can we do now to support your liver, with some of the viral stuff. And
I do currently have a virus. I'm at home this week. I've been poorly with a virus.
okay, well, that's the second thing that comes up.
Mm.
So, you know, and this is just actually, these are the things that are affecting your trachea right now. So what could happen is when the virus goes, that organ, that trachea might not be the highest thing on the list,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's obviously high now because also you're born with some organs which are genetically weaker. So sometimes the genetically weaker ones carry the load. So it could be that the trachea for you is where a lot of the load sits. Mm-hmm. To be fair, everyone has something. So, you know, what I would then do is I would go in and I would then do more analysis on what types of remedies, like there's a hay fever mixture, and then you can create, saying, you know, have mushroom mix, reishi mushroom mix. You know, it's coming up with a few remedies and create a list with them. And then I would go through these. Like these are all at the D and C level. So like they will help you emotionally and physically. So because you've got a virus, I'll just run these on you anyway if you want.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Actually, that wasn't the virus one.
It's interesting that teeth came up as well, because the virus has affected my sinuses and my teeth are so painful.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I was going to show you that side is the underregulated side.
Okay.
But it's only at minus 34%. So an organ should be going from like plus 30 to minus 30. So an organ should be kind of be doing that. It shouldn't be rigid. It shouldn't be at zero. It needs flexibility. It needs movement. Things are always moving in and out of the cells, you know, so really sort of plus 30 to minus 30 is generally considered okay, which is why I didn't go to it. I went to the trachea because it was the highest overregulated. So what that shows me is, yes, you might have an issue with the teeth, because we would obviously talk about it. And if it was affecting somebody painfully, I would then go in and set vibrations. But that is actually probably more a symptom than the actual problem. And this sort of comes with the years of working with TimeWaver. You just end up knowing. So, and then you can also look at sort of a history. Okay, and look at, all right, so we've only done like 3 scans, but say this was over time, you could see like, you see this plus, you see this green band here? There's a pink at the bottom and a purple at the top and the green in the middle. So really everything should sort of be in the middle, which it is. What we're looking at here is what's very rigid and not moving so much. Now you could argue that in this particular instance, everything is kind of relatively straight. Here it's saying to me that the pancreas actually needs more help. It's too rigid. It needs to be moving a little bit more. Mm-hmm. So it starts from sort of light red to dark red, and we'll go in and have a look. Obviously, we'll talk about other things. I personally would look at liver in this instance. Pancreas, I might make a Healy program for somebody when I'm doing this, you know, when I've identified what's going on a little bit more. So that's when I bring in sort of a lot of my other learning, like the biomedicine and stuff like that. You kind of think, all right, how could I help this person? So what the pancreas is saying symbolically is self-discovery, appreciation and joy of life. It stands for the ability to express and process positive emotions and to tolerate negative emotions. It goes more into the pancreatic ducts and stuff like that, what it means, territorial anger, female identity, insulin, glucagon control. Yeah. And then, I would generally look at the ones which are very red, and then I'll look at the other ones that come up as well, which might be relevant to scans. So, we can do like just an organ scan, but then we can also do there's also a scan called a screen, like a wave screen, right? Where we just literally go in and we do just a full on screen, like what's going on, like food allergies, milk. That doesn't necessarily mean you are allergic to milk, but actually for your metabolism and digestion, probably milk is not the best for you.
Mm-hmm. No, it doesn't suit me at all.
Yeah, okay. Some of these are in the blue, you might not be aware of them. There's sort of like a right ear abnormality coming up. I don't generally like showing this stuff because sometimes the most craziest thing comes up and people go, oh my God, I've got that. So, so we've all got something going on, otherwise we wouldn't be alive, right? Everybody's got some sort of viral load or bacterias or imbalance or intolerance or whatever it is, eye pressure, ear, whatever. So, I can vibrate all of these.
Wow, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's very, very, very detailed. So there's some pathogens now. So for example, it shows parasite, heartworm. Okay.
Yeah.
That parasite, for example, I would say like parasites can also have an impact on the liver and can help, cause other viruses and stuff like that. Salmonella. Now, does that mean you've got salmonella? No, it means that you have got what vibrationally salmonella would do to you, also possibly affecting you. Yeah, and remember, it's in the field. So the tricky thing with this is people can walk past somebody on the train and pick something up in their field.
Mm.
So it's a very sort of sensitive thing. So I was talking to Abby about this, and I was like, do you think I should show it all to people? Because I don't want anybody to be like, oh my God, I've got that, and they haven't, because they walk past somebody who has it.
It's interesting because my mum had cancer, and I don't know whether she used TimeWaver, but she used to call it the box. She used to go on the box every month, and I had an appointment on the box at the time when she had cancer, and the therapist who was dealing with my mum as well, so knew our situation, said, I'm just going to warn you that cancer will come up as probably your number one because it's in your field, because you're dealing with your mum that has cancer. And it did. It was really interesting.
Really?
I don't know whether that was TimeWaver that we were using.
Yeah. So a similar thing happens.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the results will be a bit more refined when it's a one-to-one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like when I do the group sessions, I put on particular focuses. I do analysis of the group, but then I spend a little bit of time on each person, and I look at how can we collaborate this around a topic. That's why I always do it around a topic. So the last one was, what was it? Releasing
conflict.
Yeah, trauma and conflict. So I sort of did more on the trauma frequencies, because everybody's intention is there, their consciousness is there, and we look at helping a group in a bigger way. But when you do one-to-one, it's a lot more detailed actually. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot more. There's loads more. We can go back to the point from before the person was born. We can look at timeline and look at, like, say you put a focus in, like, I am happy. So then time we will look at all the points what caused that not to be true. And you can go from the prenatal phase till you were 7 years old, or you can go to the future, which I don't like to do. You can go to I can just do that analysis from the prenatal phase to your birth, okay, which will then show points. And obviously, like, because I'm doing this as just a quick click thing, it's not so tuned in. So, on the 3rd of September 1978, which was just 3 months before you were born, something went on. It's quite good, actually. A lot of people have so much stuff in their prenatal phase. You got 1 point of kind of something traumatic which affected you. Then we can go and do an analysis of that. That's why it's called TimeWaver, because it collapses time. It wavers time. Like you can go back and go to a point of zero using vibration and frequency. But what I would say is, you know, with all of this tech, a lot of people also need to be quite wary of the physical, a lot more wary of the physical, I would say, which is also why personally I take a lot of pride in like just looking at what somebody's diet is like, looking at their just the basics of their lifestyle, their exercise. Are they doing yoga? Are they stretching? Is their lymphatic system blocked? You know, are they getting enough vitamin Bs, for example? Are they super stressed? Are they draining their energy? Because, you know, a lot of people are like, okay, this can really solve my problem forever. Whereas they just need to get the physical body a little bit balanced. And then a lot of other things can happen automatically. Obviously, this is a great support. But the idea is knowing how to balance those two areas, the physical and the energetic, how to balance those two areas whilst keeping the person engaged and working with them. You know, I guess that's pretty obvious, but a lot of people come to me and they just saying, they sort of have an expectation that by sending out the frequency, it's going to solve the problem. You know, it always takes the work. So I'm just conscious of the time. Are there any questions? Maybe, Abby, do we have time to just do a quick, like, ask questions if there are any?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's okay to go over a little bit. I'm fine with that. I'm always blown away by this machine so much. I'm so excited by these sessions.
Shall I just do stop share now? I think I'll stop sharing. Yeah, better.
I've got a question. So, you know, when we did the aura scan and her throat was quite, you know, stable, the energy, and yet the trachea was an issue. So I thought that was a bit interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing is, the aura scan, I use it as a pinch of salt, really, especially if you've just done it. That's why I said I'll use it, but I won't rely on that. Because also your aura changes second to second, minute to minute, hour to hour. It changes dramatically. You go out for a walk and you ground yourself, your root chakra might just be high for that hour. You know what I mean? And that's part of the reason I said that doing this longer term is better, because then we can really go into patterns. So we can go into what is more rigid. You know?
Yeah.
And obviously using this alongside Healy is excellent, because the microcurrent, my personal belief is most people need the microcurrent, and they need it in actual wristband form. They actually need the current to go into the cell to help those cell membranes lower the millivolts level. Because, you know, you heal the cell, as you all know anyway, then you heal the tissue, and you can heal the organ. And then, you know, I was talking to Nuno Nina about this, because he's very much into the physical. You have to heal the physical. So I was like, yeah, you know, he's like, when you heal the physical, a lot of the energetics takes care of itself, which really influenced the direction I take when I work with frequencies. Because when I monitor and look at people, I'm like, okay, it's great, you know, there's all this stuff out there, and it's amazing to have access to it all. But, you know, we must heal the physical. We must heal the easiest thing there is to heal. You know, get the physical body back in balance, get the glands back get the endocrine system back into balance. The hormones will start working properly. The person will start going to sleep. When the person starts going to sleep, you know, like their body will restore and repair itself easily, and automatically, should I say, anyway. So a lot of the work is done by the body. The body's always fighting for homeostasis. It always wants to get back into balance itself. So we must support that process.
Yeah. You know, people would have take a little bit of responsibility as well.
Absolutely.
Don't they?
Yeah.
Rather than just, send me vibes.
Yeah. Well, I think to be fair, most people in this community do. You know, they're always wanting to like look at their food,
better themselves,
meditate and sort of do yoga and stuff like that. But you know, this is great for identifying what things really deep in the subconscious are affecting someone, and bring it out. And it's a really it's a safe space. And I find that people, they really talk to me about the deep rooted reasons. Obviously, I often make sure you don't tell anybody about this. You know, I haven't told anybody, but they want to see because they really want to know where is it coming from.
Yeah.
And like I said, you know, like the databases that are on the Healy is only like 1% of what's on here. So it's an amazing tool, you know, and I haven't shown you a lot of what's on TimeWaver yet. There's so much more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Really nice. It's really nice to kind of see how TimeWaver works, because it kind of gives you a better understanding on how the Healy's working as well. Like I just like just little things like how's it aura? It could be underregulated or overregulated, or all the organs. I think that's just really nice. It gives me more confidence knowing how the Healy's made up from how the TimeWaver is made up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long did it take you, Jazz, to like learn how to use it?
The thing is, Cleo, what I would say is the biggest thing with learning this stuff is like, what's your own flair? I know that there's the learning part, like where do you click? That doesn't take that long. But a lot of people buy TimeWaver and they don't actually use it. I don't know if you know that. Like a lot of people buy it and they don't use it because it's about how you put your own flair on it. Now, I've also always been like super sensitive, right? When I first saw TimeWaver, I was managing a dental practice, and somebody kept on saying to me, like, I was always talking about the worlds, beyond worlds and all that kind of thing. So they wanted to show me this device. And I was like, no, for about 6 months. So I went to the clinic, I saw this device and I was like, oh my God, I'm going to work with this. Like, I just knew straight away that I'm going to work with this because this was everything that I am. It was like talking about the emotional side. It was talking about the karmic side, everything I felt as a quite extreme empath, like everything I just felt like was on this, and it would give me a way of helping others with it. So, you know, it actually started from there. And then I started doing yoga. I started, you know, like the nutrition course has been invaluable because, you know, I bring in food, I bring in like the body systems. So it's in terms of how long it took, it's an accumulation of a lot of energy spent in learning and growing, and then you know, as you practice sessions with people, you just have the feel. It's a very kind of conscious device. It's almost like it is alive. So you have to like learn how to relate to it, how to get to know it almost. I bought it a few years ago. My story is like my brother was very, very ill. He subsequently passed away in 2020. But, you know, I was on this big journey with him and how to help him and how to help other members of the family. You know, most people who are in the healing sphere, like they're on a journey of like, how do we help? And then, you know, I went really deep. I went to every single healer. I went to like different places, but it wasn't obviously in his path. To stay here on this plane, but you know, it was just, I've gone on a very deep journey to get here. So yeah, it literally isn't a case of buying the machine and being able to use it, because it won't work also if people buying it for that reason.
Yeah.
What sorts of prices are they?
So this one was about 28,000. They vary from like 21,000 to 26, depending on how many modules you've got on the TimeWaver. I'm a trainer for TimeWaver and a distributor in this country. Well, actually, you can distribute anywhere. So, yeah, they vary depending on how many modules. I've got all the modules on my TimeWaver. Just that kind of person. It's like, no, I feel like I'm missing out. So I get them all. So yeah, I've got them all on it. So it's obviously a little bit more, but you can get it for a bit less. And then the TimeWaver frequency device is another device, which maybe we'll do another session on, Abby. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I actually had like a demo from Muna.
Oh yeah.
Ages ago, because I was like, I have to buy this machine. I was like, how am I going to get the money for this machine?
Yeah.
I just love it so much. I think it's just incredible. And he showed me both the difference. Obviously, it's the same, isn't it? It's like the blue app and the pink app are two separate machines, basically.
Yeah.
Two completely different machines. So
Yeah.
one is like more like the microcurrents, isn't it? And the other one is like this version. The one you demoed today is the information field, like our resonance analysis. So it's like, yeah, I love it. Thank you so much for showing us and demoing and giving a few people the chance to see how it is.
You're welcome.
So amazing.
It was lovely to share the space, guys.
Yeah, it's great, and I'm looking forward to what we do next, because I know we're going to do some of these monthly. So it'd be nice to continue and to see where we end up going. And I think it's also nice if we're going to different subjects. So yeah, let's maybe do that one next time, the microcurrent one. That'd be really cool.